It's a weird angle to start the video at, but I had to get up so I could hit the button. I'm Aviana Lemaire. I'm going to talk about hygiene today as an autistic ADHDer. And I'm not going to make a graphic video. It's not going to be, there can be a place for that, but this isn't that place. I'm not going to get into intensive detail or go into, So if you are somebody who, like me, is curious about that when you click on a video of this nature, how much detail, there you go. It's going to be hopefully safe for work. We'll see. So I might come at this from a different angle. I want to talk about the overall overview of what my experience has been, but I want to bring up something that I haven't really heard anybody else talking about. And for the main aspect of it, well, let's just get in. I'm not sure how many times I've heard people talk about this, and I know it can apply to anyone, but as a neurodivergent and an autistic ADHDer, I found that throughout my life, when I've been having some issues with personal hygiene or general hygiene, like cleaning and how I'm living, it's not always because of something like my brain causing me to forget or allowing me to forget. Sometimes it is because I'm thinking about times in my life where I was having issues with that because I just wasn't okay. Didn't have a safe childhood and had massive depression when things were reaching their peak and when they would suddenly get worse. There was a time in my life where the issues that I was having with taking care of myself were that, I'm sure this has something to do with, the issues I was having was that I didn't have any energy for anything. I was trying to spend my entire life in bed. Everything hurt and I was exhausted and I couldn't stand anything or anyone and I couldn't get away. And I'm not sure there's enough said for, I want us to be aware and I want us to be mindful, whether it's with ourselves or someone that we love, whether there's one person in the conversation who's neurodivergent or multiple people. Sometimes we're just not okay. During that time frame, it wasn't as if I didn't want to take care of myself, but this was a horrible reactive depression. There wasn't anything in my life that was feeding me anything, no energy. So I couldn't fathom rolling out of the bed. Oh, I accidentally touched the tripod. It's okay, everything's safe, and I'm not going to do that again. Just kind of moving, and there that was, and it startled me. But yeah, I'll just say it. During that time frame, there wasn't anything that I was really okay to do. I was having trouble with being awake, with waking up, with even managing to get the cover off of me. Getting out of bed was something that took place, and it, at a certain point, caused a lot of, pain. I'm having iced coffee today. Let me sip. I'm having hiccups. Absolutely ridiculous. This is something I'm going to talk about because this needs to be talked about. So if I'm hiccuping away, I'm just going to keep sip-upping away. We're not always not able to take care of ourselves because of our neurodivergent brain. It's not always this concept that autism is a disability, so you don't know what we're going to go through. And I'm talking about, this is from my perspective. I've had the experience in my life of being a person who can take care of myself in these ways. Not every autist can take care of themselves in these ways. That's not limited to us as autists, but in general, some people just can't get there. It's not something where they have that privilege or that capability, or they don't have ease with it. So I'm not even going to touch that as subject matter because that is punching way outside of my grade in every way. This should be looked at from the context of someone who can. They've proved it, they've done it before, and in different moments they can't. Everything we do in life takes energy, and some of this stuff just takes too much. When you are expending enough energy doing other things, sometimes that stuff doesn't get done. Years ago, and again, I've told this story on this channel, it's the first video on this channel, I believe, I discovered that I was autistic, and I always really knew, but I wasn't convinced. When I discovered this is one of the ways that God made a massive miracle and a change in my life, because learning this thing about myself explained everything about myself, all of my experiences. I did huge amounts of research, and I've done that research all of my life, but the difference it made when I came across people talking about their own firsthand experience changed everything. And that snapped me out of that depression, and I've never been back. And of course, I'm not living in that life I was living when I was depressed. For me, it wasn't a mental illness. For me, it was the obvious natural effect of being miserable, of not having any love and joy in the way that I needed it. Like, my life was not feeding me love and joy. It was feeding me everything else that was negative. And so I eventually ran out of energy. And I didn't have energy for a lot of things. I didn't have energy to eat, you know. Anything like this could suffer. But during that time frame, it wasn't like I just couldn't remember that I needed to get up and perform my bodily care routine. I just had nothing. There was nothing in me. I simply was not okay. And it doesn't even have to be that crashing and crushing. I don't know who else. The past few weeks, I don't know who else has just had the most unexpected, unpredictable, incredible past few weeks. I don't even want to get into it because that'll be a whole different video. That's like life update stuff or just completely random subject matter. But past few weeks, I've been so exhausted that I'm having more incidents, where I'm just forgetting different things. Like, I just have to take some time to sit down. One of those things, I'll do this sometimes, just gather a whole bunch of snacks and some healthy stuff to snack on and to drink. And I'm not saying like all I do is eat healthfully, but today I'm like, let's get healthy stuff, because I couldn't want to go get more food. I was just so exhausted. I needed to take a moment and take a rest. Today was one of those days where I just couldn't even deal with trying to feed myself, and not because today was so horrible, but because the time frame leading up to it has just zapped all of my energy in these weird ways, because I've been so busy and there were so many unexpected events and things to plan for and all of this different stuff. So there have been times in my life where something like even washing my face specifically this is really good. Washing my face is a subject that brings up something else. It's not always just not being okay in general, but I do really want to put that out there, because I don't know how many times, I don't know if I've ever heard anyone just specifically say, as an autist specifically, as an ADHDer specifically, an ADHDer, that sometimes you just can't do these things because you're so exhausted. You didn't forget. I might sit here and remember 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 times a day and not have the energy to get up and do whatever, you know, because I've already spent, like the spoon theory thing, all my spoons have been used. So what am I going to do it with? I don't have anything else left for the task. So it doesn't have to be a crushing thing, but the face washing thing, I will just be like living my whole day. I'll be like, oh, I'm going to go wash my face. I'm going to go wash my face. I'm going to go wash my face. I remember over and over and over, and I can't do it. And that's going to sound like, oh, well, it's executive dysfunctioning. And I know there's executive functioning. I experienced that too. But in my case, when it comes down to something like that, when it's a hygiene-based issue, I'm one of those people who's a tad bit fastidious about certain things. And I have found that the face washing thing got really specifically weird for me at a certain point. Right around, I don't know, maybe I was 12-ish years old, because at some point in your life, somebody might tell you, oh, well, you can't use the same products on your face that you've been using on your body anymore. that was kind of weird for me because I wasn't thinking that way. And up until that time, it was like wash with the same thing and moisturize with the same thing, just put it everywhere. But then at a certain point, it's kind of, okay, you don't need to be doing that. You can't really do that. Now we need to use different products. Facial skin works differently. Okay. I mean, that's a real thing. But for me, when that took place in my life, all of a sudden, I went from being able to get my face along with the rest of my body, clean it, moisturize it all in one shot. And it became this whole separate series of tasks. And I still do that kind of thing. Maybe if I had just the right soaps and moisturizers that were safe for my face and also somehow heavy enough and emollient enough and rich enough to feel good on my body, I could just use the same products. But I've never had that experience, so it became a whole separate thing. And now what used to be one task, clean yourself, and one task, moisturize yourself, has split into twice as many tasks, because now it's clean everything but only from here down. And once you finish that routine, you have to start from here up and do the same thing. And once that happened in my life, things really got overly complex. Ever since that moment, ever since that moment in my life, I've just been thinking, well, this just got way too hard. And I didn't know anything about me potentially being an ADHDer and having that aspect of my brain. I just know that until that moment, I was able to get it all done in one fell swoop. And then that disappeared. It's not even just, it's not just now we've got different parts like cleanse and moisturize, because there are all these other things that go along with it. You might be somebody who adds extra steps. Maybe you also use an eye cream in addition to face cream. When it switched to, I tried all kinds of products. I've done the little organic cotton rounds and stuff. I've done the ones that weren't too, but given the option, if I had my druthers, I'd be that person walking around doing the green and crunchy thing all the time, right? So at some point, I either am now doing my best with that, or I have tried to do it whenever I have, whenever that's good for my life. So basically, at the point when my face became a separate entity, it didn't just double my work. My face then just became its own kind of multiplier for the amount of work. At some point, someone kindly subscribed to a facial care system for me. And it's not that it wasn't a good facial care system. It's that I had approximately a few weeks worth of energy in my life to deal with that many steps and that many items and a separate little eye tube and all the particular techniques of using your ring finger to apply it so you don't drag your skin and all that jazz. I just can't do all of that. It's not that simple for me. I am, thank God, for whatever reason, I have the capability of knowing how hard I'm touching my skin and how softly. So I don't need to use my ring fingers, but I did try it. And by the way, I found that I dragged my skin more with my ring fingers because patting it kept doing this kind of ripping action. Whereas if I just have the moisturizer on any other finger that I feel comfortable with, I can just very delicately slide it on very quickly, and it's not pulling my skin because there's literally an eye-safe lubricant in there to make sure everything goes sliding around properly. So really not that big of a deal. But nonetheless, I was doing this system. I was trying to do the ring things. There are too many different steps. I've had stuff with toners and extra. It's too much for me. I can't do that. I'm a simplistic person. Personality comes into play too. I'm a person who does not want to have 15 steps. Every time I enter the restroom, if I know I've got 15 steps to complete, I'm going to exit it again because I'm already so exhausted thinking about it. So now that it's become a situation where I'm just like, okay, well, I've got to do my face separately. And again, in my particular case, it does work better to do that. Use different things. I wish it didn't. Maybe one day I'll have the perfect system, but it is now a separate thing. And so I never remember to do both. I will end up getting to the end of my day like, oh, dang, I didn't wash my face. And then if I can, I'm going to try and wash my face because it'll prevent it from breaking out by the morning, right? Sometimes. I have had some breakups on my face. I mentioned this to a person one time, and it was over text, and they just sent the shocked face emoji because there was something about my face breaking out, and I said, well, actually it's not just breakouts, it's a heat rash, because at that time I'd had this incredible, it was just too hot, and I was sleeping incredibly hot all the time, so it looked like my face was just breaking out, but it was specifically a heat rash because it was literally me sleeping that hot. So then I'm trying to change everything, you know. But if it's not a situation like that, I don't know, I do full disclosure and I go on tangents, but again, I've already said ADHD, so maybe we already know that. But long story short, Captain Obvious to the rescue. Actually, I do that a lot, so I've promoted myself over the years. I'm proud to say I'm now General Obvious. Nice to meet you. We'll probably meet again before this video is done. But one of the very important points for me about hygiene and body care is literally, I was going to talk about general cleaning too, but I just realized it's going to be a huge subject and take a lot of time. This will be a half-hour video or longer. So hygiene and body care, something like my nails. I notice sometimes when I'm doing these videos and I talk, you know, visually, and I talk with my hands, and I will look at these videos and be like, what is up with my nails? They're so long. Right now, they don't feel extremely hyper long. But I've seen myself in videos where I'm like, I really need to take care of this because I don't like having long nails. I don't like the look of it. I don't like the feel of it. And for me, once they're past just a few millimeters of length, they start to actively impede my ability to function in life. So that's one of those things where you think, oh, if you're using your hands every day, you know, if this applies to you, if you're someone who uses their hands every day, and if you are sighted, or if you are just, you know, feeling them, like you scratch your arm and you're like, oh, that feels extra scratchy and extra naily and very little bit of flesh because now my fingers are back half an inch when they used to be back a quarter of an inch. Like, oh, I can feel this, I can tell, I can see. I should be able to just take care of it because every time I see the length of my nails, I'll be prompted to clip them again. But that's really not how it works for me. I have this weird out of sight, out of mind thing, even for things I can actually see. If it's too much trouble, I'm not paying attention to it. So if I have to do all of these extra steps, just in general, taking care of myself on a daily basis, and then all of a sudden it gets to this time frame where it's time to, for instance, I've got to do my nails, like it's mani-pedi time, and now there's this extra stuff to do. I have to do this on the day when I have the extra energy for it, because now there are all these extra steps, and for me it's not just the clipping of the nails. For me, it's the filing that does it, because that takes a really long time, and it's hyper important in my opinion, because I don't like the edges snagging on things. And honestly, it's on things, but I also have to think of it from a safety aspect, because I don't want to accidentally, you know, I don't want to be asleep and accidentally scratch myself or something, or awake and do it, but definitely if you're asleep, you know. So if I start clipping my nails and it's like, oh, I'm about to go to sleep, but I keep forgetting to clip my nails, I can do the clipping and that feels like it's over with eventually, but at that point then I have to go in and do all this filing, which seems like it takes 5 times as long as the clipping takes, if not longer. And I'm testing it, you know, do something where it's not going to destroy the fabric. I'll just gently rub my nails over the fabric and make sure it doesn't snag anything. Again, don't do this on a silk scarf if you try it, right? I'm doing it on something that is not problematic for me, something sturdy like a t-shirt, but something I know I'm not going to ruin or harm. So you can slide your nail over it, kind of, you know, just do that kind of thing, all the corners, in case anyone's not doing that, because sometimes I have tiny little routines. I don't know if anyone else is doing it. I've never seen anyone else do that, but maybe I have. I don't really recall that, but I do that. And it takes all this extra time because if something is snagging, then I have to go back in and refile the same nail I already just filed. And it's another thing that has 50 million steps. So sometimes, even while I'm in the process of doing it, I just don't want to do it. And I find myself having to fight that part of my brain that's like, okay, I've clipped my nails, now I've got to file them. I don't want to file them. This feels like a nightmare. Gee, I just remembered that if I go to the kitchen right now, I can get myself some nice iced coffee. Ooh, what if I take this break before I file my nails just for a minute to record 5 videos? Ooh, what if I just come over here online and shut down a few tabs? Because that's going to be so easy. I was researching. All I have to do is pull them up, glance over them, read a little bit, save some links, title them so I know what they actually mean, and then emotionally disconnect from the fact that I might ever look at them again, because I know that once I shut them down, I probably will never look at them again. That will be easier right now than doing this thing that I hate, filing my nails.